I know parents are always harried about teaching numbers and letters and shapes and oh my God, but if these developments are in place, remember, your child will not lag behind in the tutorials.
I know that 0 to 5 years are the most important ones because our child's brain is like a sponge. The last 2 years have been tough on us. I'm sure every parent out here is wondering if our children are ever going back to school, opening school doors and school corridors. I know and I feel you, but that's exactly the reason why we have Mrs. Zarna Doshi, the joint principal of Little Palm School, co-founder and curriculum head as well. And most importantly, she's been a teacher to my daughters as well. So our relationship and my love for Little Palms and respect for Mrs. Doshi goes back now over 10 years. We're going to talk to her about how to fill the gaps, how to set rules, and she's going to be able to walk us through things that we can do at home and how to balance all the important aspects of being a great teacher, the first teacher at home through whatever circumstances that life throws at us from here on. So Zarna Auntie, thank you so very much for doing this. Taking time out really means a lot to us.
It's still the same, Mansi, at Little Palms. Mommies are the best teachers. All learning begins at home and all of that. Well, thank you for the kind introduction, Mansi. That was really wonderful. Catching up with you again. I'm sure my little ones have grown into beautiful young girls.
Zarna Auntie, first up, I need to ask you, everybody, every great child educator or researcher has said that the first 5 years of a child's life are supremely important. Why is it important? And what's the kind of learning we're looking at here?
That's a great question, Mansi, because I really feel that parents honestly need to understand this, practice it. So the first part that I'm going to read out to you is research material. And I'm going to read that paragraph out. It is a known fact that 90% of baby brains develop during the first 5 years of their lives. It has been medically proved that in these crucial years, their environmental experiences, relationships with adults stimulate millions of neural pathways and cell multiplication in their brains. Well, I'm not a neurobiologist or a scientist, but I know neural pathways is something to do with the nerves, the nerve endings, where they process information from one side of the brain to the other about what are the developments, what is the learning that is taking place. First, the primary and fundamental developments that take place during this crucial period: physical development, social development, emotional development, and finally, cognitive developments. So there are 5 fundamental or primary developments that are going on simultaneously, one influencing the other. They're all interlinked and they're all integrated. I will first begin with the physical development. It is a little technical, parents, but it should be understood to the core. The first development, that is the physical development, is divided into your gross motor development and your small motor development. Now, what is gross motor? Gross motor are the large muscles of the body. Without the gross motor, the small motor does not develop. So it is the gross musculature that we have to work on. When I say we, it is the school and the parent both. Of course, the first things that come to our mind is climbing, running, jumping, skipping, hopping. They sound very easy, but believe me, you, Mansi, today's children are unable to do these simple movements. Now, how would you do climbing? Yes, we all know that school is shut. So let's leave that aside and let's concentrate on what can be done at home. Hey, climbing, climb the steps, climb the stairs outside your apartment. Balancing, balance on a small stool. Kicking, kick a ball around, or, small balls. Jumping, you can bunny hop or kangaroo hop, jumping with two legs. And we have seen it at school that the children literally find it difficult to lift two legs together. Hopping, simple hopping. The way we grew up, we played so many of these simple games. Nobody taught us, no teacher or no mama came around and said, let's hop. Today it's let's hop. Let's jump, let's run, because the younger children are being lifted, carried, and not allowed this much movement. I don't know why. I don't know why there is so much fear. But they have to be handled by some adult, of course, when they're very little. Once they become physically independent, they're quite strong to handle themselves. They should be given space and time for free movement. Walking, doing little chores in the house. They love doing little chores. Why don't we get a cucumber from the refrigerator and make salad together? Something like that. Oh, they love it. Let's open the cupboard and get that pretty dress out today and wear it. And let's have a little tea party together. I mean, I'm talking of what can be done at home during these circumstances. So the more you integrate children with their environment, the greater is the learning. It is as simple as that. Now, tricycles, there are these push tricycles. Now, how is it helping gross motor? Zero help. The child is just sitting and being pushed over a tricycle. I mean, can you imagine the muscle strength? So these are a few things that can be done with, simple equipment at home. There is no need, honestly, no need to invest in anything expensive. And even act like animals. Children love it. Oh, come on, let's do the bunny hop. And let's go and get the little bunny from our toy room. Or let's jump like kangaroos. Let's have a race and see who's going first into the bathroom, Mama or you. You see, let's charge. Let me see, can you charge like a rhino? Can you run like him? Can you, let's lie down on the floor and make swimming movements. It is the gross body musculature that you have to work upon. School, of course, does a lot. They have many, at least at Little Palms, we do a lot of these because it is our focus, right? Now, the weaker the gross muscle development, where they're unable to balance, where they're falling off stools. We've seen it at 3.5, 4.5, where children, because there's not enough motor movement, will directly affect small muscles, the pincer muscles, finger dexterity, the movement here in the fingers, and also the wrist. Now, why is this important? Why are these important? These are very important because eventually for cursive writing and for all that, the running, I'm sure your daughters do it in school, you need that speed. You need proper posture. You need to sit properly. And you cannot be, we don't allow the children to sit anyhow. We check the way they sit. Even on Zoom, Mansi, we are teaching parents how to get their children to sit. I think that's another point somewhere down in the notes, in your questionnaire. Sorry, I've got the notes. So a lot of effort has to be put in. Now, how will you develop the small motor? Simple, very simple. Pouring water. Come on, let's take out the water in our bucket and let's pour the water from one mug to the other. Pouring grains has to be administered by adults. We cannot leave children, especially the little ones, the 2-3-year-olds, to do all this on their own. Art, highly therapeutic. Art, clay, maida, dough, your atta. Now, so many people back home do not have staff. I mean, I, for one, did not have staff, and I feel for my age people also, these movements were really important, because somewhere I feel the stiffness. So, binding dough. Come on, you become a little chef. Here's your little thali, and you can also make a little chapati. So all these fingers, all these muscles should be used regularly. Encourage picking up their little belongings, their toys. Well, they're not going to pick up your things and my things for sure, but we can begin with their things which they love dearly, and putting things away, stacking. All of that helps these small muscles. I do want to make a little, I do want to bring this to the notice of many parents out there. There are nerve endings here on the palms and on your feet. So the more usage of the palms, your fingers, the more senses that you use, the sensory motor activities like sand, clay, art, paint, and of course, using everything on a day-to-day basis, once again, will increase the neural pathways in the brain. See where the connection is, Mansi, and increase cell multiplication. So much so for physical development, which is divided into your gross motor as well as your small motor. But the small motor will not develop without a strong gross body musculature. These remain weak, and we have seen so many children, especially in my class, transition. Oh, Zarna auntie, I don't feel like writing 2 pages, pattern pages. I'm unable to complete my drawing. No problem, sweetie. There should be no force, because remember, they are still learning. They are not learned. Yes, so we give them a lot of time. Okay, we do little finger exercises, no problem. Do you want to take a little walk around school? The same way. Why should you impose? Listen to them. They're telling you something. So that's the way we deal with children when we work on their physical development. Okay, now after the physical development is social development. What is social development? Socially acceptable behavior is social development. Here, both parents and teachers play a very major role. We have to be good role models. When I say this, at Little Palms, we are very careful. The entire staff is very careful. We talk softly. There is hardly any shouting. There's no point shouting. So the same way, parents need to help them at home and build the good habits first. Example, good manners. Excuse me, thank you, sorry, please, may I? I'll tell you this, I'll give you one example of this little girl in my class. Every time she could not follow or comprehend a question, she would never stare. In fact, she would put up a little hand and say, excuse me, auntie, could you repeat that question? The moment a child speaks like that, a teacher will lift her ears. Over what? Over yawning, sleeping, distraction. Because you see, we have to understand as adults, children cannot comprehend all matter quickly. It has to be slow. So repetition is what they thrive on. So we have to be sensitive about this. Gratitude. Thanking every caregiver. Respect, where has it gone? Excuse me, parents also today, I'm sorry to mention this, there are a whole load of wonderful parents, but I think we need to focus on these issues because, if they grow this way, school of life will look at you differently. So This is what we also instill all the time. Thank you, excuse me, sorry. So it's both, it goes hand in hand, home as well as school. That is the good behavior, sharing and caring. This is a major issue, especially when there is one child. You see, he's given so much back home that sharing for that child becomes difficult. So, well, we've got one toffee or one chocolate. We're going to give a little to Dada, a little to Dadi, Mama and Papa. And I'm going to put this in the fridge. No, I wanted tantrums. I'm sorry. This is what it is. So, gentle firmness. That is what we use in school too. There's a thin line between discipline and action. What I mean is, Rohan is a good boy, but he's got naughty hands. Keep quiet. Sit down. Well, that's not the way to talk to him. But for sure, he cannot go on with behavior which is incorrect. You know, when I say this, I say anger, hitting, biting, pushing, pulling, tearing somebody else's work, breaking. All of that is negative behavior. So we treat it in a way where we divert attention. It can be done the same way at home. You can use these, simple ways at home. Okay, well, this kangaroo, he's throwing it. Do not allow this behavior to pass, my dear, because it will keep growing. From the kangaroo, it will be a cup. From the cup, it will be a plate. It'll be a mobile phone. Today, children are given mobiles very early. They're so aware of it. Watches, anything and everything. If you don't stop it, it will directly influence. It will interfere with learning. When parents come up to us and ask us, there are behavioral problems, there are destructive behavioral problems. There are so many issues today because everything is happening very fast. Parents are, focusing too much on the shapes, the colors, the letters, and all that which is needed for tests. Please discourage aggressive behavior. Temper tantrums, we see that they're rolling. Some of them are rolling because, if they're overindulged, over-pampered, overprotected, then for them to adjust and adapt outside their home environment becomes very difficult. Now, what would we do at home? Action. Well, lovely. When there was this little boy who's now, of course, left school, his mother would come harried every Tuesday for consulting either Rupal or me. And we would say, put that toy away. And then one day she said, now what? I said, if his action, if he's calmed down, clap, bravo, you did so well today, Rohan. I'm just taking this random name, Mansi. Give him a little star, give him a little hug. They need praise. So it's action, reward, motivation. You are separating the right from the wrong. Yes, so having said this, of course, if the behavior goes beyond all of this, find out the root cause of this underlying behavior. Do not neglect all these developments over study. You know your shapes, everything will happen. Everything. Children understand, comprehend concepts faster than all of this. Correct habits take longer to develop over incorrect habits. So begin from day one. I would tell you not even day 2, because day 2 is when he will be in school. Yes, so that is physical, social, emotional behavior. Again, of course, we have positive behavior, we have negative behavior. Positive, we all know, is when he's happy, when he's smiling, when he's joyous, when he's laughing. But what is negative behavior? Negative emotions. Behavior. I've used the incorrect word. It's negative emotions must be addressed by both parents alone, mama and daddy. As ultimate authority. It must be one over any other member of the family. Here, I don't know how many grandparents are here, but you know, children are very, very smart, Mansi. They take advantage of the situation. So I feel grandparents and aides or their helpers are there. We are very, very lucky to have them around. But when it comes to ultimate understanding of the core developments, we believe that mother and father should be in sync with each other. Otherwise, when they grow, now, one of your daughters must be in her teen years, right? Yes, and I'm sure you are facing the music.
Yes.
And I'm sure you would be handling and sometimes pulling your hair and say, oh my God, what's gone wrong? Yeah. So at this time and this point, you know, to not have terrible teen tantrums, the mother and father must be on the same page from day one. Therefore, LP is a mom and pop shop. Moms are very, very, you know, they're working, they're super smart today. So why not dads? If there are issues and if the mothers are unable to come, the dads come, which is great. Now over here again, anger, temper tantrums, instant gratification. I want and I want and I want. I want this bicycle. Arey bacha, there's corona going on. We cannot get it. No, but I want. Well, then I'm sorry. You can cry, let him roll, let him be. When the child is rolling, don't even try. Or bang, you know, I'm not saying banging is it, but a lot of them roll, they cry, there's incessant crying. Just let them be. I would call this, let that emotion come out. And what is emotional catharsis? You know, where you divert that emotion later on. When you speak, communicate. Okay, sweetheart, what happened? See, look outside the window. Is there any movement? Well, they don't understand COVID so much so. I'll get to that next, how to handle COVID. But, well, nobody's going out. Now, why don't we play with a bicycle toy? Come on, you and me together. Walk the talk, talk the talk, walk the talk, communicate with them and not to them. There's a big difference out here. Big difference. Instead of shouting and saying, hey, shut up, keep quiet. I'm working. Take the time out and try to understand what the problem is. Of course, there must be gentle firmness instead of screaming and, you know, as I said, well, do not label them. Silly boy. Doesn't understand anything. I'm telling you so. Please just divert them. Again, what will you divert them? Come on, let's see what Peppa is doing. Let's go. Let's take the bunny hop. Who's going fast? Just divert them very cleverly. Till, you know, I'm not saying at that time, just leave them alone. And afterwards, slowly and cleverly divert it. Divert the attention. And if he continues to cry, allow him to cry, pacify him, explain to him. But this is an ongoing process. The reason why they do this, is they're not mature enough. But if you've given in all the time, then it will get bigger and bigger, as I said. Another thing out for all parents as well as all teachers, patience is a virtue. We need patience. I'll tell you, I'll give you a small example. It's a story. One day, there was this buffalo. And this buffalo would walk in the farm by himself. Suddenly, from somewhere, this monkey came and jumped on his back, scratched him, would jump on him, pull his tail, pull his horns, tickle his nose, and do all these things which were not meant to be done. All the other farm animals said, Buffalo, why aren't you doing anything? Come on. Bellow, run, drop him. He said, do you know what? This monkey is teaching me patience. So isn't Corona teaching us patience? That's what we all need. Yeah. Now, why am I bringing this little thing in is both these developments should be given a lot of weightage and a lot of importance because it directly influences a child's confidence, a child's self-esteem and self-worth, and also his ability to adapt and adjust to the world at large, to the schools that he will eventually step into. Now, over there, if you try all of this, well, guess what is going to happen? You're going to be called immediately, right? So why don't we walk this extra mile now instead of waiting and then running 2 miles and then, everybody in a frenzy, because then the child finds it difficult to adjust. He's crying. I don't want to go to school, etc., etc. So having said physical, social, emotional, 3 developments, which finally lead to your cognitive development. So 3 and cognitive is a part of the 3. It's not the whole parents. I know parents are always harried about teaching numbers and letters and shapes and oh my God. But if these developments are in place, remember, your child will not lag behind in the tutorials. If these developments are not in sync, then you know what is going to happen, right?